We are talking about Vroom Solar and Luke Phelps, CEO. I want to introduce you in a way where I'm going to ask basically, how did you grow up? What was your parents like? And how did you take it from there to where you are today? That's a huge timeline there. But if you can kind of bring in what was really important, what were the events and who are the people that influenced you? This will help us give us a good feeling of who Luke Phelps is.
Sounds great, Mike. I might need a couch to lay down on this one. Um, all right. I grew up on a farm in Kirksville, Missouri. I have two brothers and my father. We actually lost our mother when I was 5 years old. So it was just a family of all boys my entire life. So we had a lot of crazy things happen in this family on the farm. Not a whole lot of safety concerns, and there should have been a lot more. It was a good childhood. I was very fortunate for everything that I had. I had a great father and good brothers, and just learned a lot about hard work and working on the farm. And then my father also ran a commercial fencing business that we all helped with. The commercial fencing business is actually what put food on the table and paid for the farm, because the farm was really lost revenue, or just a way to write some taxes off, if you will. So after I got out of high school, I was told I had to go to college by a good friend of mine. And I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to work and make money. But I listened and went, and I did kind of the tour of colleges, if you will. I started off at a technical school, went to a Baptist school for a while, and then ended up at Drury University in Springfield, Missouri, where I finished out my degree. While doing my degree in the evening, I was building homes in Springfield, Missouri during the day. I was a general contractor building spec homes all over Springfield, Missouri, and just doing everything I could to make ends meet and pay for college. I still ended up with a little bit of loan after I got out of college, but quickly had that paid off after I was done. There was a little bit of a crash in the economy, so I sold my last spec home and went back to the farm in Kirksville and started helping my father. He was in a pretty severe farming accident, so I started taking over more of the operations of the farm for a while until he got back on his feet. And then I started a ag retail business in Kirksville. Quickly grew that over 5 years. We had a lot of ag sprayers and seed treatment businesses and all sorts of things going on. But in 5 years, was able to gain 90% of the custom farming application business in 5 counties. Decided that it was starting to have impacts on my health, and was offered to get bought out just from the exposure to the farm chemicals and other things. But I got an offer to get bought out. I took that and used the proceeds to put solar on our home. And I just fell in love with solar from that point on. Started a solar company. A few friends started asking me to do the same thing on their homes, and it just grew into another business that I called Red Barn Solar. And Red Barn Solar was great. The ag customers that I had gained from the farm service business quickly translated into solar work for me on hog facilities, chicken facilities, and dairy farms all over North Missouri. And we were helping them get grant money from a REAP program at the USDA office and getting most of their solar system paid for on these large facilities and cutting their $2,000 electric bills to $50, and farmers just loved it. It spread quickly. And during my time there, I quickly found some holes in the solar industry because it is a new industry. I patented a product that I call PV Pallet. Today, I'm still on the board at that company, but I do not run it anymore. And also at the same time started developing this new solar solution that allows everyone to be able to access solar at a lot lower cost and a lot more practical and easier, called Vroom Solar, that we're going to talk about today. So that was a very winded, long story. Take it or leave it, or play that at 1.5 speed if you need to.
Well, it's very eye-opening from the standpoint that you were an entrepreneur from a very early age, and you were taught things from the fencing business. And of course, that's a dangerous thing. I mean, you walk around with some wire clips in your back pocket that you might sit on. I'm joking, but there's a lot of risk as far as physical risk. And when you think of farm work, it's so physical. But here you are using your mind in a way that you're looking for solutions, and not just for yourself, but for others. You found a way that there's a demand out there for certain things. And what you've come up with now is such a level up from Red Barn Solar, where you're just out there doing the work and you're helping cut costs, and overhead and on a farm is everything. It just is. And, trying to control, it's like a million things can go wrong. You feel like you got two ways to solve the problem. And so you really do have to think out of the box, as they say.
For sure.
So,
well,
what?
lots of stuff.
So I get it that it's a portable do-it-yourself type of solar kit, but there's some technology behind it that makes it happen. And it happens without batteries. So all of a sudden, you're taking out a very expensive part of an investment that people think about as far as having batteries and the way it works. So it looks like it has something to do with load management. If you could go into what Vroom has and how it's helping and who it helps, the different types of uses. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Very happy to. I'll try not to get too deep into the technical weeds, but from an overarching perspective, it is focused on the delivery of the solar energy and not so much the storage. With other solar systems today, they need to produce their usable sine waves off of a storage or off of the utility grid to access that solar energy. And those have become the two biggest pain points in the solar industry, because you're having to put in this really expensive central battery, or you're having to deal with all the net metering, permitting headaches of working with utility companies who don't necessarily want to work with you, because it's not a win for them, because they're in the business to sell you power. And if you start producing your own power, it's not a win-win solution by any means. So that's why I wanted to build this solution, make solar easier to access, and focus on the delivery of the solar as efficiently as possible on site and easy for customers to use.
Sounds like there's quite a savings, or getting rid of the loss of energy between the different pain points, and how, so you can build something that's more efficient. I guess it has a lot to do with load management.
It does. So that's where everything in your home is typically run through a single conduit, a single power conduit. Whether that's the meter or whatever it is, we have split that into multiple channels so that those channels can be opened or closed based on what solar power you have available. And so it has changed the entire functionality of how solar is delivered, which is what really makes it unique and makes it work.
Wow. People start thinking about the installation of this thing, and it just takes two people, two ladders, and two tools, and maybe 2 hours. The average person that wants to save energy or has a specific use, in other words, I need something that's portable. I need something I can take up to my cabin, but bring down to my business, kind of thing. Tell us about how that works, why that's important.
So yeah, that's actually, and the bulk of that 2 hours of installation is really just finding a good place to install the solar panels needed for the power production, finding a backyard porch or a backyard shed or carport or on top of a contractor's trailer. We've got lots of solutions that we are producing. The hardest part is typically just finding a good solid place to get good sun exposure for the solar panels. The wiring literally takes 2 minutes or less on this. So the part that scares most people is typically the wiring and dealing with voltage. There is no hard wiring with this system. You don't have to strip any wires. You don't have to try to figure out voltage calculations or anything like that. You literally just plug your solar panels together. They have male, female clips that plug together. You plug those together, plug into the side, and flip the switch on, and the lights just light up and tell you exactly what it's doing. And you can start plugging loads into it instantly.
Now, well, know that you need some southern exposure as far as where you're pointing the panels, but I understand there's some kind of a rack system or something that is adjustable that you give the people so that it could be put on the side of a shed or it could be put in different ways? How does the structure work that holds the panels? What's going on with that?
For sure. I started designing this product specifically for contractors on the go. Need to keep up with all their battery tools that they have, charge all the different battery chargers, and just be able to have power wherever they park their trailers. So that was the initial goal of this product, but it has grown so much beyond that with the smart solar management technology that we had developed. So we realized that we were not even touching the tip of the iceberg with what we could do with this technology. But the racking itself, we made to where it can handle high road conditions, in other words, and fit most of the cargo trailers off the road today and be installed very quickly on most of those cargo trailers today. A lot like a ladder rack would be installed on a cargo trailer. We've taken that concept, but made it work with solar modules so that people could get the solar on the top of their trailers and get the power output they need and install a mobile power system in any cargo trailer. We're also we've modified that rack now for shipping containers and backyard sheds and other applications too. But really the starting point was those cargo trailers.
Well, that sounds like you started with one of the hardest things to accomplish, and that is a moving target, a moving target that could,
Sure.
yeah, you have wind conditions, you have all kinds of things that going on, and you certainly don't want a rack flying in the air.
Yep.
So from the safety point of view, you had to build this to industrial strength just from the
Sure.
get-go.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah.
We over-engineered, but also try to keep it simple and then handle excess wind speeds of 180 miles per hour if needed.
And getting something set up like this, it's portable. I get that. Is it something that the government or a state has tax credits that might help a business person get it installed?
For sure. Yeah, this is actually, since it's USA made, we meet the threshold. Being there's a certain percentage that we have to get that this has to qualify for the USA made tax credits. And our product will, which gives an additional 10%, so a total of 40% federal tax credit on buying our system, which helps along just continue to build the U.S. manufacturing industry, and just that reliability of it being built in the U.S. is always a win too, because you know where the product came from, you know there's going to be service and support for it, and those are always big things whenever you're buying something that has an asset cost to produce your own power.
It's nice to have something U.S. based for a change, where you know you're going to have some consistency, and you don't have a language problem for one thing. Talking to people in India
Sure.
or the Philippines, and they're trying to picture what you're doing, and that's your support. Well, that throws a wrench into everything, doesn't it? Wow, this is fascinating. Now, this takes a lot of money to do. And I realize that you put quite a bit of your own into this as far as funding goes, family. And then you've taken it into one of the best crowdfunding campaigns is Start Engine. And there you're able to offer stock. It's like a chance to become an early adopter and get in there in a product that's only going to expand, and maybe even you license it. It just depends what the future's like for you. But the market is absolutely huge when you have something that's portable like that. There's 1,000 different uses. What's going on with raising money, and where are you taking it next?
For sure. We didn't, as anyone who ever built anything or built a house, etc., it always takes more money than you expect. You get into it and you run into some problems and hurdles, and you have to find ways to get over those hurdles and just keep pushing on. I have sunk probably a little over $500,000 of my own personal money into this product from previous businesses, and want to not gonna give up. We're gonna keep pushing, but there was a 6-month delay in our engineering that we had to go back to the drawing board and start over. So it messed up my financial plans to some extent, but we're back on track now and getting ready to launch the product later this year with our cornerstone dealer. So it's been really exciting. And we also added a lot of technology during that engineering period that we had to go back to the drawing board. We added the AC input so that it could manage other power sources. We added the Vroom forecaster that allows us to get a true measurement off of the solar. not having a load attached so that our software embedded in the system knows exactly how to deliver that power when it's available. So with all those things being said, we do need more money to get this thing fully launched, especially early next year to have our full production units hit the market. We do have an SBA loan that is great, but interest rates are not fun right now. So we're managing that the best we can. We just got a little over $1 million SBA loan. And we also just got approved for Air Force grant at $1.25 million that we'll be tapping into later this year too, for continuing on and building some products for the U.S. Air Force. So that's been an exciting process and journey to try to navigate and figure that out too. But we opened the crowdfunding just to kind of bridge the gap between where we are now and our full product production launch models into the marketplace.
So there's a window of time right now to become an early adopter and maybe own a little equity in Vroom Solar. That doesn't happen often. And then imagine as you grow, you may go into Series A or something a little bit, larger amount of money, because when you scale, you're going to really need to seriously scale. But you're already starting to attract investors. And I think the main thing that a lot of investors, small or large, want to know is, do you have skin in the game? And you certainly have shown that you're doing that. Not only are your heart is in it, but your fortune is in it as well. So that speaks loudly. That's just a huge thing. I congratulate you on that, because a lot of people are just trying to spin an idea, and then they've got to change that idea 10 different times. You start with a strong one with contractors and what their problems are. And because they needed something that's extremely sturdy and can be portable, wow, you take a solar to a whole nother level. And then you've made it into a kit form that all you got to do is walk around with a compass and figure out where the southern exposure is, and whether you got a roof line or not, and how much you're going to have to bank that rack. That's the hardest part. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's amazing. You're doing something great for the economy. This is only going to explode in time. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and people ask me a lot what my superpower is, and it's really just persistent. I don't give up. Just keep pushing and just not giving up. And what is left of this product, and that coupled with an incredible team behind me too. I've got some really great people on our team that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for their support.
Wow. So I took up the one thing here that I found that really helped me a lot was to see those plugs in the box. That when you say plug and play, there it is right in front of you. But the tags here of optional input power source, meaning you're able to decipher what's coming in off a solar and mix it up if you have to. Does this augment with another electrical grid that you'd have to do? Or could it be diesel, or could a generator? Or how does that part work? That's just my curious mind going, wow, how does this thing work?
You're exactly right, Mike. Our goal is to drive costs down for the end customer, because solar is by far the cheapest source. You're not having to pay for another input ever. It just, once you get the solar panels put up, you capture whatever power you need from the solar. And so solar is always first. It is always the primary source of power. It's always going to choose solar first if it's available. But if you want to set this thing up and completely leave it and power something that does need more 24/7 power, or during storms or heavy rain, there's a plug on the bottom of the unit that you can plug whatever power source you want into it. If you've got a battery, if you've got a generator, if you want to plug it into the grid, you can use that power. Just, it costs you more money anytime you make a power source. And so it can supplement outlets with that power source. The lights above the outlets that you can see in the picture behind you, Mike, are green, and that's usually the color indicating, hey, the power is coming from the solar. If one of those lights change to yellow, I think is the color we picked, that means it's coming from an alternative power source. Or if it goes black, then it's just off at that point. So that's how this system works, and it can manage every other type of power source that you want to plug into it. And we've even built a remote start switch. So if you're out in the middle of the desert somewhere and you need to power an office space at a big construction site, this thing will also call for a generator. remote start that generator and start pulling power from that generator if needed. But your gas cost is usually 73 cents per kilowatt hour to run a gas generator, where ours is 4 cents per kilowatt hour. So you're going to use as much sun as you possibly can in those situations.
That's far below utilities. So you could just be hooking up to a utility then. And now you're working with 4 cents and maybe 18 cents, that kind of thing when it comes to utilities. So the plug and play design saves people a lot of time and just know-how. You get up fast. You're able to get it up fast. And it's got built-in intelligence, obviously, from what you've just explained, how that intelligence works. But oh my God, you almost dumbed it down. I don't have to look at dials. I'm just looking at it. Oh, it's green. We're good to go. That's all I need to know. And if it's yellow or another color there, I know that we're drawing in with something else if I've plugged something into the bottom there. Wow. It doesn't get simpler than that, does it? I mean, you're really taking a lot of the hard stuff away so that the plug and play is what everybody wants. And that's what's going to create the demand. I can see that. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, we really wanted to avoid people thinking our electricians install this. Like, we want people to be confident enough that they know what's going on and be able to plug this system together and take control of their own power in the future. And that's what we believe this product is doing.
Well, Luke, this is wonderful. And you as a CEO, you're the guy that gets the ball rolling, so to speak. Who are the people that you depend on, and how dedicated are they? How have you found the right people? I mean, that's an effort in itself to find people that believe in what you're doing and are putting their heart in it too. What are the people like, and who are they?
No, man, I've got an incredible team behind me. And the first person I brought on was a buddy that I met back in 2018, also running a solar installation company in southern Missouri and an electrical company. And he instantly understood what I was trying to build and just wanted to be a part of it. And he has continued to step up his responsibilities in the company. And he's now my CTO, James, and he just loves it. He eats and breathes it now. And he's just an incredible support, incredibly driven. He owned and operated his own company too. So we really operate well together because we understand the risks and challenges of owning and operating companies. And so we were really able to connect, and he's the next largest owner in the company. And that's just been a great partnership. I added a friend of mine, Catherine Benson. I've known her for 20 years, and she actually introduced me to my wife today. So I owe her a lot more than I even realized probably, but she's just an amazing graphic designer and storyteller. And she has been teaching design at a couple of different universities, and she heard about what we were doing. And she's just been incredible getting our story together and making us look good. Those farm kids and business owners are a little sloppy sometimes and just fly by the seat of our pants. So she's cleaned us up, make us look good. And so she's been a great add to the team. And then I added Terry Capper, who had been at the same company for 30 years, moving up through the ranks to general management. He ran multi-million-dollar accounts and had teams of people underneath him. One of the things that's probably my weakness is actually people management. I love to do the product management and lots of things, but people management is always a little bit of a struggle for me. So I wanted someone who could do that really well. And he's been just a perfect fit for that as we continue to grow, to take that COO position and make sure that things are getting done and really do a good job managing the people in the company. And then, Robin, our salesperson, I wanted a person who was not a pushy salesperson because that's the downside of the solar industry right now, because it's new technology. We've got these door-to-door salesmen that are what I call used car salesmen in the solar industry now. And it's destroyed the solar industry, and it's just leaving a bad taste in people's mouths. And so I wanted someone who was the relationship focused person, the sales team. And Robin was just the perfect fit for that. I've known Robin for quite a while too, before he came to the team. And he's been doing a great job. He already has like 71 dealers in his pipeline that he's working with and building those relationships. Before we even have a product to deliver to him, he's already got all these relationships that he's growing, ready to start taking the product in our different markets that we are going into. And then Misty is probably the other key player. and a few others, Greg and Cliff, and we got lots of board advisors. I don't have enough time today to go into all of them, but they're all incredible team players. And we just got this incredible team symmetry like I've never seen before in a business. And it really lightens the burden on my shoulders knowing to have such a strong team.
Well, I think one of the wisest things you've done, especially with your tech officer, is giving responsibility and authority, being willing to let go and trust the people you have to give them the responsibility and the authority so they can make decisions. And you're there as their mentor, so to speak, as they are to you. So that I think just builds almost a family oriented, everyone's pulling in the same direction because everybody cares. That's hard to do. That's a hat trick in itself. So you've got a great team. Everyone's looking for the future for this to really blow up as it comes. But one of the things as far as investors, whether you're a small investor or a large investor, is one of the questions that would be asked is, what's the intellectual property like? What do you have that's different from other companies? That's a very bottom line kind of thing to ask, Luke, but I wanted to cover that before we close here.
For sure. Yeah, so we've filed patents on some of our racking designs, just the installation process and how it's installed and the actual design of it too. So we have some of those patents in the works now, and it is patent pending. And on the control center itself, there's several parts that are in patent pending process right now too. The forecaster, the specific solar measuring tool that we developed is very unique. It does not need the load to determine the full wattage power that the solar has available.
Oh, wow.
And today, all solar inverters use a process called MPPT, or maximum power point tracking. And so it's like a tug of war, if you will, with what the solar can produce and the things that are plugged into it. And so you got to have that tug of war happening to get the wattage output. Our system does not. So it's like a tire pressure sensor on your car. It just tells you what the tire pressure is at any given moment. Our system tells you what the solar panel wattage is at any given moment, so it knows how to distribute that power. So that's the one big part of our patent. The other part is our relay matrix, the load systems, if you will, that load priority system that you've talked about in the past. It allows the solar to use these channels to deliver the power effectively through those channels and maximize the delivery of that power directly to your needs. So that's a very unique process too. And it can either be manually driven by the end user, by how the order they place things in, or it's driven by our software algorithm to maximize the efficiency of the solar system too. So it's several different processes there. And then last but not least is the inverter itself, that conversion from DC to AC. Our inverter is the only one in the marketplace that can handle variable input and variable output at the same time and still keep a perfect sine wave. And that was what we had to figure out how to develop because we're handling constantly changing power input from the solar and constantly changing loads on the output, because your loads are constantly coming on and off. Your chargers are complete. Your freezers are going on and off based on when it needs to cool the freezer down and quit it. So you've got variabilities on both ends, and we had to build an inverter that can handle those variabilities on both ends. And so that, in a nutshell, is really what our patents are around, and that's what makes our product really unique too in the delivery method.
Highly valuable. Yeah, that's tremendous value in the intellectual property. I mean, that's what makes it work. Wow. I've learned a lot today, Luke, and I want to commend you on what you've been able to already accomplish and the vision that you have and where to take the company next. I want to thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy guy and you've got a big meeting coming up here. So I suppose it's about time I let you go, but I wanted to thank you. Thank you very much.
Good to mention it here, Mike. Thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Bye.